Right? We just go, hello. Yay! Hi, everyone.
Yes,
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Of course, I appreciate you wanting to interview me. It's an honor.
Yes, thank you. So, Lauren, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, my name is Lauren Ashley, and I am a real estate agent with Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green. I live and service in the Spring area and the surrounding areas. And as all agents say, we can do all of Houston. And additionally, I run a little small but mighty team with me and my husband. And then we have a coordinator and an assistant as well.
Wow, big.
Small but mighty.
You are also in a leadership team.
Correct.
In the community.
Correct. Yes, we're extremely involved not only in our community but also in the association. I am currently the 2024 Houston Association of Realtors Young Professionals Network Chair, which you happen to be one of my amazing advisory group members with.
Yes. Awesome. What did you do before that?
Prior to transitioning to real estate, I was a licensed specialist in school psychology for 6 years with Klein ISD, which is one of the local school districts here in the Spring area.
Okay. Why did you decide to move to your career to real estate?
So after being in the school systems for 6 years, there just came a point where I felt a little bit hand-tied, where I wasn't going to be able to really make that difference that I wanted to and that my mind thought I was going to be able to whenever I entered into that field. And so I looked for something that I could really feel fulfilled with. And also that had no ceiling. I was ready to put all of the power and the strength and the drive that I knew that I had into something.
Yes.
And I felt like real estate definitely allowed that opportunity. My husband's family also is in real estate. They own and operate multiple storages, at that time it was apartment complexes and things like that. They're actually brokers, but I'm not with them, which is okay.
This is okay.
It's not a thing at all.
So this is him right here.
That's my husband. That's my husband, but he is on my team with me now. But his parents are the ones that.
So he moved from his parents to be with you.
He was working with his parents. That is correct, and transitioned his license to be on my team.
Did you have to convince him to move?
No,
with you?
absolutely not.
Sweetheart, I'm going to come support you.
He was ready to support me.
So
I got
he was
busy
already
enough.
in real estate before
He was licensed, not before me. He was licensed, but was actually running and operating a Little Caesars. Super random little side fact that we owned and operated a Little Caesars together with his parents.
A Little Caesar, like
A pizza
salad
shop.
place?
It's a pizza shop. The Little Caesars Pizza Shop.
Pizza shop, yes.
Correct.
Yes. It's a franchise.
Correct, exactly.
So they bought the franchise of the pizza
Correct,
place.
and we partnered with his parents and owned and operated it, and it was in Giddings, Texas, super random, but at the same time, he was running that, and he was assisting with his parents, and then I was with Gary Green, also selling real estate and kind of starting this business, and I had no intention, I don't think when I started it, to become a husband partnership, husband-wife partnership, but it just kind of played out that way, and it's been, obviously we have not turned back since. We at the end of the day.
Did you go to Champion Real Estate?
Yes, correct. Yes, at that time they were over off 1960.
This was, what year was that?
2017 is when I was working on my licensure. So I was still working as a school psychologist at that time. So I was getting my license and doing night and weekend classes to fully complete my licensure.
And what was that, like 4 months, 6 months?
Yeah, it took between 4 to 6 months.
Did you pass the test right on the first try?
I did. Whew, I did. Did both back to back, passed them, and then was able to be licensed officially in 2017. And then I finished out the rest of my semester as a school psychologist because I had my full contract with them, and that ended in June of 2018. But during that time frame, I was already like vamping up and getting set up with Gary Green, so that by the time that June hit, I jumped all in and was able to give full time. So I've been full time since I started.
Why Gary Green?
I just loved when I interviewed with them, which I interviewed with a ton of brokers.
Yes.
Okay. At the end of the day, I loved the support and training and the family local feel. We very much are about supporting local. Me and my husband in general, we have a lot of passion for that. Obviously his little family, they're brokers, but they own and operate a ton of storages in our area. So we have a very much local mindset of supporting the small man. And I felt like Gary Green had that with their small local brokerage. They're only based in Houston. They have 22 plus offices in the Houston area. And there was a lot of aspect about it that was very, very family driven. Literally, one of my managers is the broker's son. So it's very close knit at the end of the day. And I loved that, and the support and training and the name. Gary Green is huge in our Spring area. You look around, every single community has a Gary Green sign in it. And I knew I could jump on those coattails as a new agent.
Because you live in this area.
Correct. And strategically place myself within certain neighborhoods and allow myself to become known without actually being known yet, because Gary Green was already known.
I see.
So it was strategic. And
what was your first year of real estate like? You were on your own by yourself as an agent first on that first year.
Correct. Yeah, I didn't join
Were
a team.
you top producer right away?
I definitely dove in with everything, and I was a very, very what's the word? I was very blessed with having a lot of business come my way, but it wasn't just like handed to me. I was very good with open houses, and that was my number one source of income. Because your sphere doesn't trust you when you start. So my whole goal was to trick my sphere into thinking that I had a ton of business, and give that perception to them. That,
here's the tip.
Yeah, that it is a great tip. So I did a ton of open houses, and I was very strategic about where I chose and the price point and the community, so that when I was there at the open houses, I'd have the right buyers walking in that I knew I could connect with. And my whole goal during those open houses was connect with somebody, and at the end of the day, that's how you can earn their trust. It's not just about understanding and knowing real estate, because obviously at that point I was new and I was learning and I was understanding. But when you're new and you don't have an easy 300 plus transactions under your belt to know the knowledge of real estate, you fake it till you make it. Right? And then somebody would walk in and I would connect with them on like, oh, I love the Astros, or, oh, you went to Klein Collins? Me too. And we would just find those connections, and then I would ride with it.
Is that from learning psychology and being...
Oh, the psychology background helps, for
Does
sure.
It really helps?
But also having, in this industry, it's really nice to have it's really good to have a personality that people can connect with, right? And so as a newer agent, I knew that the strategy was going to be to connect with people and build those relationships based off of connection of personalities, right? And so I really utilized my, vivacious and friendly personality, and that hustle combined with doing all the open houses. I mean, I would do normally like 3 or 4 a weekend, and I wouldn't take off like the whole month, every single weekend. I would at least do 2 to 4 every single month. And that first year as a rookie, I was able to close 16 million at the first year.
In the first year?
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
What was the first one like? Was that here in Spring?
Who
was your first buyer or seller?
My first buyer or seller was a friend of ours. It was a referral from my husband, actually. He has a lot of great connections in the area, and so do I, because we both grew up in this area. So
picking the right husband helps.
Yeah, at 100%. It does. And I'm so sorry. I want to correct myself. I said 16 million. I closed 6 million as a rookie.
What?
6. Huge
16
difference.
million was like, whoa.
It was 6 million, but as a rookie, that's even a lot.
That's
100%.
Yes.
So I closed 6 million, and then my trajectory from there was up and up. It was 6 million, 17 million, 23 million, 26 million, 30 million. So that's how I've continued to grow.
Are you planning to go higher than 30 million?
My goal this year is 40.
Yes. And you have to have a team.
100%. When you get at that level, like maybe you can be doing the business, but you have to have a support branch underneath you that's handling a lot of the background work. My team I'm a very type A, anal type of person, and so my team runs very much that way. We have like 180 plus point system.
What is type A?
Type A is very OCD, very organized, very much wanting to control everything. And so as an agent, it helps a ton with being able to have that hustle, right? And you can, because your clients feel like, oh gosh, she is very much involved and over this. It is very difficult though when it comes to delegation when you're a super type A person, because you don't trust the other person to handle it the way that you would.
How did you?
I hired the right people. You have to hire the right people.
So you did not change or adapt, but you find the one that.
And I've changed and adapt as well. You have to. You totally have to. Okay. At the end of the
you learn
day,
to trust a little bit more.
100%, and breathe out the things that okay, it's all right if this didn't go perfect, and also
but
the things that
core
matter.
of it,
100%. The
core
perception
you're still
and the
you.
client experience. As long as that's handled correctly, then I know that all the other little mistakes, which is something that I've had to learn.
Yes, we're all growing somehow.
100%.
Yes. So $6 million in the first year.
Yes.
By yourself.
Correct.
Is there any help?
No, I did it on my own. No assistant, anything like that. The 17 million I did on my own as well. And then at that point, that's whenever I knew that I needed to bring in an assistant. And so I had an unlicensed assistant first, and she was with me for quite some time. And then that's whenever we were struggling finding a good coordinator. My assistant was handling quite a bit, but she was unlicensed. So I was still very much into the transaction side of things. And it's during that time that I started to bring Matt in too, but we still owned the Little Caesars. And so he was balancing between that, trying to help me. But then, let's say we got a manager secured at the Little Caesars, and then that manager would quit. So then he was pulled from real estate back into Little Caesars. So it was this back and forth for quite some time. And that was during the 23 million year that he was not able to fully immerse with me. But then it was during the year last year that we did 30 million that I finally secured
it's
a
really
transaction
based on
coordinator.
Conroe, Woodland, Spring, or it's just all over?
A predominant amount of the business does come in the Spring area, and then the surrounding Cypress, Conroe, Woodlands, and then a little bit south as well. However, that is also because we farm our neighborhood. So our two biggest sources of business is fear-based business from referrals, and then also we farm in our community, which means basically that we live, eat, breathe, play all the things in our community.
Example.
We do multiple community
What is
events.
farming in real estate like?
So you have a system in your business plan, which you don't have a business plan. That's the number one thing you need to do. I had a business plan from the very beginning because
How did somebody come up with a business plan?
Well, luckily, my brokerage provides great examples and then guidance. But for me, I looked around my office and said, okay, what are the top producing agents doing? And it was fear and farming. And that
can you talk to them, or how do you know?
100%. 100%. Our brokerage is a very supportive open book brokerage, and so are our agents.
Because at the end of the day, you guys are
competing against each other. 100%.
Yes. So
we are, but we support each other too. And because look, there's enough bread out there for everyone, right? And those particular agents that that I looked up to at that time, and I still do. They're amazing. Yes. Those particular agents were farming in certain neighborhoods, and when you farm, you immerse yourself fully into that.
What are we doing? Like tomatoes, carrots?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Farming?
Just sow the seeds. The whole point of farming is that you plant the seeds and then eventually
in front of their house,
in front of their house. Hey, by the way,
yeah.
So you plant the seeds, and your seeds as a true action. Our seeds are mail outs, open houses, community events, magazine ads, and we are fully planting our seeds in all of those areas. And then in return, you are starting to get what you have sowed. You're reaping what you sowed, and then you will get calls.
That actually, all of that is a lot of money.
It is
invest.
100%.
So,
So having a brokerage that supports you doing that is also very important.
so you're saying your broker cover all those fees?
Not everything. Oh gosh, I wish. It's very expensive. I'm not gonna lie. We spend quite a bit of money every single month in marketing, but we see a very good return from it. I mean, you got to pay to play, right? At the end
Yes.
of the day, we don't pay for like additional e-leads, nothing like that. All of the choices that we choose to spend marketing money on is very much going to focus on what the business plan says, which is farming to our sphere and then farming to our community.
Branding.
Correct. And then that way it's like when I get a call, whether it's from my sphere or from my farm, they know that I'm already a top producing, very good agent. And they'll say, you're like famous in this community. Whenever I get a call from Windrose people, I'm famous in the community.
Oh, yes.
They know exactly who I am.
Okay.
Like, you do so much for our community. We really appreciate it. We knew you'd be our number one call when it came to
Ooh,
selling our house. And that's the whole point of farming.
I see.
It works. It's just,
So let's
it's
back up
expensive.
for new agents a little bit,
Mhm.
for somebody or anybody that's just starting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Back up a little bit. When did you start using your commission to
Mm-hmm.
contribute back to real estate and the community?
So because what happened is we lived in a condo and we were farming in that condominium complex. But those condos were, let's say 100,000, 120,000 ish. Not a very high price point. And in spring, our averages aren't super high anyways because we're the burbs. But at that time, I was not spending money to farm there, but we were using our brokerage resources to farm in that community and do events and stuff for them. So I was using some of my money, but my broker was helping me quite a bit. But what happened is
Flyers.
100%, because like we can print for free at our brokerage. And so I would print, like 300 flyers and go and door knock.
No,
I was doing the true hustle.
Mhm.
Then I decided, okay,
With the tennis shoes.
yeah, wasn't wearing the heels. And so what I decided to do, and this was a huge action plan, but we sold our condo, used the money to buy a house in the community we live in now.
Yes.
And my whole goal and what I wrote in my business plan was I'm going to sell our condo and we're going to move into a neighborhood that's not currently being taken over by an agent.
This was when you.
Right around when I first started. We were probably, I think it would have been in 2019 and I started full in 2018.
Did you have a hard time getting pre-approval?
No, luckily because my husband was able to qualify for the house without me actually on it at that time.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even on the loan whenever
Yes.
we first,
Mhm.
because we were working for the Little Caesars at that point. So we
Yes.
luckily
'Cause
had.
as a realtor, we get commissions.
You're right.
1099.
No, and I think I'd only had even though it's good, I'd only had 6 million,
Uh-huh.
and you don't have 2 years because as a
Exactly.
1099 employee, you have to have at least 2
Good
years.
husband.
I know. So we were able to sell the condo and we changed our whole life. We moved into Windrose and I worked out something with my broker for them to support me during those first couple of months in farming to the community because I knew as soon as I moved in there, I would need to start making those touches somehow. So
Door knocking. Hi, I'm your neighbors.
100%. Open
Five
houses.
street down, neighbors.
100%. It's the hustle. I didn't have a lot of money. I really didn't. We were very strategic about, all right, the money that I was getting, I put it into my business account. We were using what we could, and I started to mail out to just a little bit of the neighborhood because we have 2,000 homes.
Yes.
So I selected 5 because that's what I could afford, 500 homes.
Yes.
And those are what I was mailing out to every single month. Plus I would do open houses
What is on
every
that
single
flyers?
weekend. I am
Your
very
face, for
particular.
sure.
Oh, for sure, our face.
Yes.
I'm very particular about what I'm choosing to market. I'm not just like picking some silly, generic card and mailing it to them. Normally, it's always going to have our branding, my face, my phone number, Windrose neighbor. I always put blank neighbor, so whatever community you would be farming in, you want them to know that you live there as well. And then it would be stats on the community. It would be really great marketing tips or Houston stats, something that they can get value. It's an item of value that they don't just want to, this is.
In your first year, what do you do?
So it started first with involvement more in the community because remember, like my mindset is always whatever I'm choosing to do, it has to be income producing at the end of the day, right? Even down to sometimes hanging out with my friends and stuff like that. You know, it just naturally just happens, right? When your mindset as a real estate agent is like, is this an income producing conversation or a choice of action? So
give us an example.
Oh gosh,
let's say your friend is not watching.
Oh gosh. Well, and I think my friends know this. So I started.
Do they know?
Have you heard of Bunko before? Have you ever heard of Bunko?
Tell me.
Okay, it's a game that, joking, but a bunch of older women typically enjoy, and pretty much it's a bunch of girls that get together and roll dice and drink, and it's a reason to get out of the house and get away from kids for one night of the month, okay? So my mother-in-law does Bunko, and she did for years with her friends, and she recommended, she was like, Bunko would be so fun, you should start a Bunko group. And so we were young at that point. I started Bunko because and it was my group of friends. But I was very strategic about who I chose to be in Bunko with me, because I wanted to make sure that it would be people that I know I could have send me referrals or close with me at some point.
One of those that is doing something themselves.
Correct.
Right.
One that I knew that would be a really good referral partner at the end of the day. And so whenever it came down to choosing, it was still social, but I made the entire group based on a business plan. It was literally in my business plan to start Bunko and do all of that. So at first, whenever I started, involvement was very much in the community and doing things that were affordable.
Well, let's back up a little bit. So Bunko night, make them drink.
Yes.
And how do you make sure that night was going to get you a referral? What is the conversation like?
Well, now we do it every single month. So I started it, and it is a tradition that we've been doing for years now. It hasn't stopped. So I started it when I was first starting this business, and now we still meet every single month to be able to have Bunko together. But whenever I initially started that group of girls, I made everybody go around and say what they did. And so, of course, that allowed me to be able to be like, for you guys, who know. And then what I wanted is the 6 girls that I chose, because there's 12 total. The 6 girls that I chose, I asked every single one of them to choose another girl to bring with them so that I could open up to 6 new people that wouldn't have known about me or real estate or anything like that.
I see.
And then that way I was able to spread my sphere a little bit by choosing the girls that trusted me and were my friends, and then they chose 6 other girls, and then that made all of us together. Well, they chose 5 because it's 12 total, and I was
this was hosted at your house or what?
Yes, correct. How it works is you have one girl that hosts every month because there's 12 of you total. So it allows me to get into all of their houses and allows me to have an opportunity to meet with every single one of them every single month and keep those connections going.
Hey, do you want to play Bunko?
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. No, Bunko, I would 10 out of 10. I would recommend it. Okay. Absolutely.
If you see me doing Bunko, there's a reason.
Exactly. Exactly. To connect at the end of the day and grow your business.
So when did you start getting involved in the community? So first it was in your sphere, and you're also involved with HAR.
Correct.
Leadership.
So my transition into HAR actually is due to Brian Schwartz was my manager at that time. And he's
is still in our Young Professional Network.
I know. I feel like I shouldn't have even said his name. I'm kidding. Love you, Brian.
He's still young.
Yeah, he's still technically like an HAR YPN, but not really. He's over the age limit, but he had to serve on my chair year, which I totally respect, because he is really the reason that.
I don't think we even count the number. Like, we want 35 in the Young Professional Network.
Yeah.
Maybe Brian is just sitting there.
Yeah, he's just kind of an extra. Yeah, it's actually 34. So he really was the big reason that I was like pushed to do it. And the joke that we made, because 2020 was my first year that I got into YPN, and he had been in YPN already before that, and he was like, you need to get into YPN. Trust me. His biggest thing was the networking and the learning, the ability to learn and grow from each other. He knew that, because I was newish at that point, 2020, I would have been 3 years in-ish, and he saw already like that leadership drive within me, because we were very close, and like we still are to this day. But of course, he was my manager at that time, and he saw that within me, and really pushed me to become involved, because he strongly felt that I would be able to really take advantage of that network and that passion, and put it not only into my personal business, but the industry and the profession in general. Being involved is so much of a bigger picture, being able to be a part of like those changes, and like all of these crazy things going on with obviously the lawsuit, and being able to attend meetings and be sitting next to people that are huge decision makers is such a drive for me as to why I choose to stay involved. Do I get direct business out of it? Like, well, I'm not going to say I don't. I do. I get referrals. I have connections that way. No, I'm not adding a new client to my base when it comes to direct transactions, but I am 100% growing as a professional, and being able to learn from each other is so important. So Brian pushed me in 2020 to become involved in YPN. So unfortunately, my first year was kind of funky. 21 was just starting to sort of get a little more normal, but then 22 and 23 years, I was able to fully immerse myself in. And YPN right now is the only advisory group I'm involved in with HAR, but I know I'll become involved with more. I just didn't want to overextend myself my chair year. So I'm just focused on YPN. Plus, I'm so involved in my community, and I do multiple events for that and multiple events for my sphere. You just have to balance your time at the end of the day.
How do you do that?
You don't.
Monday.com.
Our systems, I'm like, you don't if you don't have boundaries, which I don't, which is something I'm learning. It's something that you have to learn.
How does that work? Somebody who's a great leader, who's OCD, in control, but there's no boundaries.
It's because I allow the drive to be the absolute best for my clients and my team agents to override the OCD-ness of my calendar. Okay, and I've got my calendar. We've got multiple systems from Asana,
so
Outlook, Sisu.
So in order to get rid of our OCD, there has to be a schedule of next.
100%. Yes.
If there's no next ready in line, we're stuck in one place.
100%.
Like it needs to be. OCD is a little bit perfectionist, right?
Yes, absolutely. But I think at the end of the day, I allow like my clients at 10 o'clock at night, to be texting me, and oh, 100%.
And that's okay. It's working.
I'm not going to say it's okay, but clearly it works. And I think it's just because I want them to feel that they are getting the absolute best experience at the end of the day. Now, does that mean that if I waited until the next morning to text them that they wouldn't think I'm still, a great agent? No, but it also has to do with being able to check it off the list, move on, not be anxious about it that evening, things like that.
So it's really a process. Are they getting the best of you at 10 p.m.? Or you just pretend like, okay, yes?
Well, I think obviously it depends on the situation and like what they're asking. Of course, at 10 p.m., you're right, you're exhausted, but sometimes I do feel like I do my best work at night. I get up early, don't get me wrong. We normally are up and going like 6:30ish in the morning, and I don't go to bed until 11-ish p.m. at night. So long days, short nights. But I do feel that at night I am at my best versus in the morning but I've tried, Miracle Morning. I don't know if you've heard of that book before.
Yes.
The whole getting up at 3 or 4 in the morning, heck no, techno. That is not going to be a possibility for me. But taking time in the morning is important. It is, having a cup of coffee, working out, trying to get in that right mindset, and waking up is so vital. And it all depends on your schedule at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be at 4 in the morning. It could be at 5 or 7.
Do you cook?
My husband cooks.
You're like, here's your pizza, sweetheart.
No, we do HelloFresh, and it saves our lives.
Oh, HelloFresh.
Heck yes.
HelloFresh.
It saves our lives. Yes, you should. I love
20%
HelloFresh.
off HelloFresh.
Yeah, just email me.
Use Lauren Ashley 224.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I'm at first. whenever we started, it was a balance trying to figure out how it would work. But at the end of the day, he is the one that will be doing the cooking most of the time. Every once in a while, if I'm not stuck at the computer, until 8, 9 p.m. at night.
Mine too. My husband is the
cooker
chef.
as well.
He's the
Yes.
chef, and he loves it.
HelloFresh is amazing because it gives him direct step-by-step instructions. He doesn't have to screw anything up. It tells him exactly what to do.
Unless he wants to add something else in there.
Right, exactly. No, he never gets crazy. He follows the exact instructions.
That's good. Where do you see yourself in the next 2 years? As for personally and for the community and your leadership?
So I am hopeful that my trajectory and involvement in the community continues to stay strong and continues to grow. I love being able to make a difference in the community and provide all of these really cool events like Santa, photos with the Easter Bunny, and we're doing a Cinco de Mayo event in the park. And I love being able to just, that's in our neighborhood.
You're hosting it.
Correct, exactly.
When you host an event like that, do you collaborate with title companies?
Correct, 100%. So depending on how big the events are, we'll get sponsors. One of them is a huge event that actually raises money for a charity. So it just depends on how big you want to make it. Like the Cinco de Mayo one that I do is not as big. We don't have a sponsor. We just partnered with the local high school, and we're going to have like the mariachi band come.
You are the sponsor.
And we are the sponsor. That is correct. But other events, I absolutely partner with title companies, insurance companies, etc. So going back then to the question of where do I see myself in the next 2 years? I definitely still want to be involved and being, making that difference in the community side of things, but also in the professional side of things through HAR. I see myself continuing to be a part of advisor group members or advise other advisor groups, not just YPN. My goal, my not two-year goals, but my 10 and 15 and 20-year goals is hopefully to one day be able to be chair for HAR. So I'm going to continue to stay involved. Yes, I'm fingers crossed.
Are you staying in YPN like Brian?
As long as they'll allow me. And maybe I can fib about my age as I get too close.
How long are we letting Brian stay?
Oh, he's probably out next year.
I just come in.
I'm like, oh, honey, or he'll still continue to show up and be like, you don't even go here anymore. It's all right. We're accepting of all.
Just sit there.
Yes. So, and then personally, I'm hopeful that, God willing, I'm hopeful that we're able to have kids and start growing our family.
You do want to have kids?
100%. 100%.
1, 2.
We want babies. Probably 2.
Boy,
probably
girls?
2. Both. One of each.
Okay.
Gosh willing, because if we have 2 girls, I know my husband's going to try for a boy, and I'm going to absolutely not. 2 and done.
My girlfriend in Los Angeles, she wanted to the girl, and now it's 5 boys.
Oh my gosh. She just kept trying and hoping for the one girl.
Stephanie, yeah.
Oh, honey. It's all right. You're probably the best boy mom that there ever was.
Mm-hmm. So if you were a chair for HAR soon.
Oh gosh, I don't see it being soon. I think you have to have some more years there.
Right. Because I think before you become a leader of YPN today, that was 4 years.
Correct. I had been in it since 2020. So it was 3 years of being involved in YPN, and before I even became the chair. Absolutely.
Why do you think in the last 4 years you became the chair of YPN? Get to become the chair of YPN.
I think a huge aspect of that is just showing up and showing your leadership, right? A lot of people may come to those meetings, and because you had said it, there's 35 of them, and
is that the max that we're keeping the group?
No, it could have probably been a little bigger or a little less. It all just kind of depends on me as the chair and whatever chair it is, and how many they're feeling they want.
Because in the global advisory group is 80 people.
Yeah, exactly. So it is very much driven between the chair and also Roz, our HAR staff liaison. So I think for me, the reason is because you show up and you show your leadership skills, and you talk at those advisory group meetings, and you stay involved whenever you have the really cool, community service events that we do, or the social networking events that we do. Because I've never even graduated from TRLP, for example, which is an amazing leadership program that Texas Realtors has. And oftentimes the chair is also a TRLP grad, and I'm not a TRLP grad
Why
yet.
is that?
Yet.
You are going to finish.
100%
Yes.
I will apply, but I just haven't.
Did they not pick you to be in the program?
No,
Why
I've
not?
never applied yet. I've never applied yet, so I haven't been denied. So I think that it has a lot to do with just showing your skills and your leadership and
What
just
is
being
your
you.
What is your leadership and skills?
I am an extremely, I'm very vivacious. I'm very outgoing. And I think that that allows for a lot of people to feel comfortable connecting with me and coming to me. And then I'm extremely patient. I can take on quite a bit. My husband may not agree with that, but I think it's because I'm patient with my clients and my people all day, and then I get home to him and I'm like, one little thing. Just give me a glass of wine and shut up.
True.
I'm just kidding. I feel like he should be here to protect himself. So I think my leadership skill is very much driven by my joyful personality, but then also mixed with patience and my meticulous aspect of my personality, and having all three of those together, you know, it's great for connections and relationships, and it's also great for contract and systems at the end of the day.
Really?
Absolutely.
What's your personality type? Are you more paper, documents, information, introverted, extroverted?
I'm very extroverted. I'm normally, dependent upon like the scene or the day, I'm normally filled by social interaction. Some people will get drained by it, but if I walk into a party and I will be exhausted before then, I'll be filled by the social interaction. So very much a
So the
classic
human connection
extrovert.
actually bring you more energy.
Actually energizes me. Correct. So on the DISC personality profile, which if you don't know what that is, it's really cool. DISC.
SC, right?
DISC.
Don't tell me it's G.
No, I'm not.
Right?
I have a D, but I am a high I.
High I.
I'm an extremely high I,
Yes.
which is very
Leadership,
vivacious, very
influence.
leadership person, influence. Correct.
What was your so I and then what?
I'm a very high I, and then I do have about a mid D, which is that paperwork, very big red square.
Dominant, wasn't it?
Correct.
Yes.
Dominant. Correct. And then S and C are normally going to be more of the artsy, creative type of aspect. And it's interesting, like my little small but mighty team, you know, I have a certain personality profile, and my coordinator is very different than me.
You make them take the test.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
Before.
Yes, because I got to make sure that we're a good fit together.
Yes.
And so she is very different than me, but it works out perfectly because she makes up for any of the faults that I may be missing on. She's there with an extreme high D to be able to come in and fix all the paperwork and be
organize everything.
geeking out about the systems while I'm over here just happy and laughing and kissing babies, you know. That's my whole goal, being a high I.
Marketing content. Do you create it yourself, or Gabby takes care of it?
So we actually have with our broker a marketing team. So
Oh, wow.
another really huge benefit of Gary Green.
Yes.
Gary Green, come on. I'm really talking good about you guys.
Yeah.
So
or sponsor.
yes, exactly. You sponsor us too.
Yes.
So we have a marketing team that you get whenever you are an agent with Gary Green.
So if you need to go out to any property, there's a photographer ready for you.
Well, we luckily, so when I say marketing, what I'm talking about is like the graphics and the social
design.
media stuff, the designing,
The
all
video
of that.
and editing.
Video and all of that is a different
Different.
person.
Okay.
Correct. Gary Green's marketing department focuses on the postcards, the
listing.
graphics, the ads, all of those things. I have a totally separate girl that does all of my videography, all of my social content, all of my photos.
Anything else that you wanna? For the
Gosh, I
community.
guess I feel like whenever we do these interviews, I always want to make sure that like there's some nugget that, you know, whoever's
Absolutely. That was
watching
a lot.
takes away.
Yes.
I think for going back to the new agent, you had asked a little bit about my journey whenever I started, and this industry can be extremely defeating, and it's a tough profession to be in at the end of the day. A lot of people see it and think like, oh, that's just, and even an outside perspective, consumers, oh, like they're just, showing up, opening doors and getting paid. And that is so not what this industry and this profession is about. It's so much more than that. And I think as a newer agent, it's really important to understand that perspective and know that you're coming in to build a profession, not just coming in to do transactions. Remember that this is a relationship business. Mm-hmm. And when I first started, nothing was handed to me. I didn't have, oh, here's a bunch of leads. Nothing like that. You hustle and you work for them. But when you're choosing whatever path you choose, when you start, whether it's a team or doing it on your own, just make sure that you're strategic about what's going to be best for you and your personality. I knew that I could rock open houses. Like I knew I could because I can make connections and relationships with people. So I aired on my strengths. For new agents, just make sure that you're airing on your strengths and choosing whichever pillars of business are going to give you that return and work with your personality. Because I couldn't shove somebody in an open house that wouldn't necessarily have the fit for that.
Okay, I'm coming in right now. Mm-hmm. Hi, I'm just checking this out. I don't want to put my name or phone number. I already have an agent. Thank you.
Hi. It's super nice to meet you. Thank you for coming out. I always ask them, how do you hear about the open house?
I saw the signs. Just want to check it out.
That's awesome. I'm glad that you saw the signs. So are you a nosy neighbor?
What?
Are you a nosy neighbor? Do you live in the neighborhood already?
No, I don't live here.
Oh, you don't live here. You were just driving by to check it out.
I'm just going to check this out real quick.
Well, let's go on a tour together. So I always take them on a tour. Okay. We're going to walk through that house together. I'm not going to let them. If it is me and that one other person, I'm 100% going to walk through with them and I'm going to tell them about the house because it allows me to kind of just slowly chip away at that cold personality. Right? Because
so recognizing people's personality is important.
And I'll have the sign-in sheet sitting when they walk in, but I normally don't shove it in their face right away. It just depends. And I very much read the room, right? Psychology background. Very much read the room and their personality. And you can ask the right questions without forward asking, are you working with an agent?
Psychology major is about to go up right now.
It helps a ton.
Community college, sponsor us.
So it helps a ton.
So if I don't want to sign and give you my phone number.
First of all, I would never force it. Of course, if they don't want to sign in, they don't want to sign in.
But most of the time, you're able to pick and say
100% and ask them questions like, "Oh, how many houses have you seen?" And if they start talking about all of these houses that they've seen, then you can kind of say, "Oh my gosh, okay, great." So then your agent, what's their name? I always directly ask, "What's their agent's name?" Because if they're stumbling over that, then okay, well, look, they're clearly uncomfortable. They've told me they have an agent, but they don't even know their agent's name. So I don't necessarily like pressure or call them out about anything. I'll just take those cues and listen, a lot about listening. And then before they walk out, try to make some kind of connection or, hey, I can send you over a couple of houses that are similar to what this one is, because clearly this one doesn't work for you. But if your price point's a little lower than that, there's some in the area, and then at least try to snag
the area.
Well, yes, exactly. And then at least try to snag an email or a phone number, and then that way you can at least follow up with them. But
do you have water, food sponsor at your open house?
Normally I don't. Now, if it's a broker open, 100%, right? But if it's just a regular open house, remember I do a lot of open houses. So 1-2 a weekend between me and my husband. We don't go the whole, mega open house situation with a bunch of signs in the yard, or flags, but we are very much about advertising it in advance. So putting our sign out in front of that house that week before, plus putting as many signs out in the community as possible.
Who's doing that?
My husband. My sign guy, my everything. I do have to do some signs though, if we both have open houses, but I'm very lucky. But when I started, it was me. So let me make that very clear. Yes. I hustled for quite some time. So when it comes down to the open houses, it's about being strategic and not just throwing one sign in the yard and not trying to, if you're giving up 2 or 3 hours of your life, take advantage of it, and try to use it. Because otherwise you just kind of wasted time.
Now, when you get that contact, phone number and names, after the open house, what do you do with it?
So we have a campaign in our CRM that will put them on a drip campaign.
Salesforce, what are you guys using?
We use KV Core.
KV Core.
We use KV Core. And I love KV Core. I know there's all sorts of systems, but
Yes.
I really like KV Core because it allows you to build your own campaigns, but it gives you templates of campaigns.
Yes,
that you
KV
can...
Core, 20%, Lauren Ashley.
Another sponsor there. And so we have a full personalized campaign that touches them. Plus, I will obviously make normally either that day or the next day, make a quick little, hey, thanks so much for coming out. If I was able to get their cell phone number. And then depending upon how that conversation went, oftentimes I may be setting them up on a portal search, already sending them houses. I've even had it to where I left that open house and went and showed them other houses.
It's
But
just a consistency of following up.
100%.
Right.
You must follow up. And most of my business from the beginning was open houses, and I think a huge aspect of that was the follow-up systems and the handwritten
Do you get a lot of
letters.
no's? Do you get a lot of hang up on you, not picking up, not texting back, or blocking?
I would
Like-
say it's not like a ton, but there will be people that we continuously check in with them, even if we're not getting any responses. And then all of a sudden, one day they'll respond back and say, hey, I've been getting your stuff. Thanks so much. I've just been really busy. It's like, oh, great. Okay. I just want to make sure we're here when you need us. But we have a full follow-up plan a 30, 60, 90 day follow-up plan,
Everything
all
has
of
a
that.
plan.
Everything is systemized. Everything is systemized.
How long did it take you to plan everything?
I mean, it's always a work in progress, right? I started initially with Trello. I don't know if y'all have heard of Trello, but that was my transaction stages. And then we moved from Trello to Asana, and then we moved from Asana to Sisu, which is a system that we use now to keep up with all of our transactions. But it's taken time to develop. It's not like right away it was ready to go. And even my 180 plus checklist that I have when somebody's under a transaction, that changes regularly, where I'll be like, oh, add in this, because it's not just, verify that option period is done. It also has handwritten letters built into it, adjusting, their status in our CRM, all the way down to the closing day, and then even sending up a follow-up email, putting them on the right drip campaign.
What
etc.
system are you using with your team to delegate work?
To delegate work, Asana. We use Asana. And so we are able to have a full team system, and then we jump on a morning call every single morning, and then we'll have a morning dump, which is all of the stuff that maybe happened throughout that next day or maybe over the weekend, and then my coordinator runs it, and then she assigns to who it needs to go to.
At what point should an agent have a team?
Not everybody, not everybody should have a team at the end of the day. I think it is very much depending on why you want to start the team. Like, what is your reason for starting the team? Is it because you're trying to leverage the business that you have, and you have so much that you're losing business? That's one reason why you should start, right? And then the other reason is also to be able to have delegation and get a little bit more of your life back and have a better work-life balance, which doesn't exist in this industry, but at least in my experience.
Yeah.
I know it does for some. But I think leveraging, growth that you've already gotten to and saying, all right, I feel like I've hit my ceiling and I want to continue to grow, but I can't. And then the other aspect is going to be, like I was saying, when you get to the point where you want a work-life balance and you need to have a partner. But you just need to understand your reasonings and then build your team accordingly, because there's all sorts of team models out there that you can research to find what's right
So
for
you are a team of...
There's 4 of us right now. There's 4 of us,
Wow.
which 3 of us are licensed, me, my husband, and my coordinator, and then my assistant.
Are you
That's it.
growing?
Yes, 100%.
How
We're-
many more?
I think within like the next 2-ish years, we want to remain small but mighty. We don't want to become
Mighty and
so
small.
large that
Yes.
like our branding or our, gets compromised,
Mhm.
right? I'm not just like hiring anybody. I'm very, very specific about the person that I want on the other end there. So we are currently looking for 1 or 2 agents before the end of the year.
Okay.
I would love to be able to have 1 or 2 really solid agents that fit our culture and are ready to jump on and hustle with us.
Lastly, what is that culture like?
What is the what like?
What is the culture like?
The
for you?
culture. So our culture that we follow, it's passion, authenticity, inclusion, growth, and excellence. We very much have, and that's what I just try to embody with all of the team that we already have right now.
I love how you use the word embody.
It's very much what I try to lead in, right? And so our new agents that we bring in here, I want them to make sure that they can embrace this as well. This profession is definitely something that requires a drive and a hustle and a passion that some agents might not be able to have that fire within themselves, which is why a lot of agents in the beginning of this, when they start in this industry, they only last 1 or 2 years because they don't realize like the true hustle that is required to be in the industry at the end of the day.
How do you have this passion? And how would your agent have that passion?
Yeah, it's definitely something that's hard to teach, right? You have to look for those signs when you're interviewing as an agent, or when I'm interviewing as a team lead. I look for those signs and the way that they remember psychology background. So I'm reading.
Where is that passion
everything.
coming from? Is it the passion to help? Is it the desire to be successful? The title? The position name?
It's definitely it's really a lot of everything that you're saying, Nami. It's the passion that you have for your clients and the relationships and the changes that you're making for them and their families. That is really that's my umbrella, right? The relationships and the changes and the impact that you're having on people's lives. Because real estate is sometimes one of the biggest investments that somebody can make in their life.
I think wanting the impact is just not enough. Somebody who's not thriving to hustle, you have to have a desire for title.
Absolutely.
For money.
I love having my name in lights, don't get me wrong.
Right? Because
But
you could just go volunteer and be impacted.
100%,
right?
and feel that you're making a difference.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's why
so
I'm
the
saying it's
desire for
everything.
money it has to be there. What I want to touch on this a little bit. When there's a thing, or let me see. Some are saying, no, money's not everything. Do you agree with that?
I think that when it comes to how we run our business, it's really important to have those transactions because we spend a lot on marketing and etc. I think that while money is not everything, the relationships are everything. The money is definitely a piece of it that's needed. If you're not selling houses, you might have a hard time. You will have a hard time, obviously, in this industry because it's not everything. But if you're driven that way, if you're only money driven, that very much is going to change the way that you are in this industry, right? You have
you ever been that way?
I think I've always had a really good balance with remaining focused on the primary aspect, which is passion about the people and the lives. Don't ever allow the money side of things to over 100%. I think I've always had a very good balance in that at the end of the day. I've never felt like I've been affected by the dollar at the end of the day, because I could do a $50,000 transaction or a $2 million transaction, and I still do leases, and you as an agent, you don't really make that much off of leases.
So much time, right?
And it's a lot. It's just as much time and I'm going to give them the same service, because just because it's a lease doesn't mean that they're still not a client that can turn into a relationship that can give me referrals someday.
What do you think? Because I think you have a strong family and a supportive husband. For a single mom or for somebody who's grinding paycheck to paycheck, as a human, I think we have that greed, anger, suffering within all of us, right?
Absolutely.
How do you think we should handle that coming into this industry? We're losing passion.
A support
there, right?
system is so important. I think in this industry, it really is. Doing it completely on your own would be really, really difficult, because as in not even having a support system at all. If you were...
And one of that is your therapist.
Exactly, 100%. But if you're strapping on, a baby and heading off to do a showing, as long as you...
Can you do that?
Heck, I know, I probably know I will. I don't have kids yet. I want them eventually, like we talked about, but
that's
absolutely.
legal, right?
Well, as long as you're in a car seat when you're driving there.
Okay.
And then you get on out and you pop open that, stroller and say, let's look at the house. I know people have done it before. I know that people have done it. I'm very blessed to have a husband that's very supportive. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. It is so possible. You just have to make sure that you have a plan at the end of the day and you're following through with that plan.
Do you mind sharing on this show right now? I think it's important that people look like we're successful. We all have our weakness.
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind sharing that, and how did you overcome it?
I don't know if I've overcome it already is the word. It's a learning process for sure. I think that because you do have to exude a lot of confidence in this industry. Oftentimes, I'm not saying you have to, but oftentimes you need to be confident. Fake it till you make it, remember? But I think oftentimes I'll struggle with confidence in myself, being really down on myself, and questioning even where I'm at today. And so, absolutely.
$30 million sales.
But there's goals that I've set that I haven't made, and you allow sometimes mentally that to really get to you, and comparing yourself to others that are at a different phase that you want to be at. And I think that's very normal, especially with social media and how often, people are bragging about all the great things that they're doing. So I think one of the weaknesses that I definitely embody is allowing myself to mentally be affected by that and then that affects like the continuation of like my business plan and the goals that I have set, because you feel really defeated and you feel like I'm working so hard and I'm not there yet, and what's wrong with me? And that's something I'm always trying to overcome, is not allowing those external aspects, affect you and your plan at the end of the day.
Do you think that, I think we have that, and it would never go away. I think the feeling of,
it's always
because we're not
something you
there
work on.
yet.
Right.
And I think
it also gives you drive though, right?
Yes, because
it also drives you.
What is that, like yin yang, kind
of
like black and white?
It's like a weakness and a strength,
yes,
right? At the same time.
It comes together, right?
Correct.
If you want to go to the next level, there's also the opposite of it. You'll feel that. You just go through it.
Correct. Absolutely. And always just working through and taking care of yourself mental health wise as best as you can.
Good to know I'm not the only one feeling that way.
Yeah.
and it doesn't go away.
And it doesn't matter your production, right? At the end of the day, right? We closed 30 million last year and I still feel that way.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate it.